Tech Talk. Our guest today is Tadd Labozzetta. He is with Triax Technologies, and he is going to talk to us about technology in construction going into 2021. And Tadd, you no longer have a crossed out camera over your placeholder, so I'm not sure. Oh, look, there you are. I see you.
Hey, I apologize, everyone. I'm having an issue with my computer camera, so I just wanted to briefly come on my phone camera. I'm going to close this out so that we don't have double audio issues or anything like that. But I just want to run through a quick overview on technology and construction, the current market, and as Karen had mentioned, what we do here at Triax, which is part of the wearable market, just to kind of put us on everyone's radar and just put technology in general on everyone's radar, because we've seen a lot of changes recently. COVID has accelerated technology in construction, and I think it's really relevant and just something that's really coming down the pipeline for everyone, for better or worse. So that being said, I'm going to jump into something fairly quick. Would love to open up the conversation if we want to collaborate, any questions, things like that. So we'll take it from here. I'm going to sign off of the video. Okay, so there has been a rapid adoption of tech, and really this kind of began around 2018. In 2018, about 30% of major construction companies were at least testing some type of technology. Now that number has sped up infinitely because of COVID mainly, and also because there are now some tools available that we didn't previously have that are extremely helpful in technology and in construction. The three main pieces of technology that we're seeing are virtual scanning tools. So things like temperature scanning, automated services like that rely on cameras, virtual reality. We're seeing a lot of collaboration platforms, so things like Slack, ways that we can communicate in real time other than email, other than sending text messages and radio and kind of that more old school sort of way of communicating and collaborating. And then last, we've seen a very large increase in the amount of wearable technology. And that's what Triax does. So we make IoT solutions. Never been a huge fan of that phrase, but it means Internet of Things. And basically what it means is we combine software and hardware. So moving along here, there's really three main platforms where we see IoT live. And that's Bluetooth, radio frequency, and Wi-Fi and ultra wideband. And we're all pretty familiar, with these technologies. We use them, throughout the day, whether we know it or not. But they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And it's really going to depend on the type of environment that you're working in, what your workforce looks like, and a number of other things to determine what solution, if any solution, makes sense for you now or in the future. So just kind of touching upon these quickly. Bluetooth, for example, which everyone's most familiar with because it's on your phone, all day. It's great for passing large packets of data. You can send video, picture, large files in an instant, which is fantastic. In terms of the construction and IoT world, it's a little bit harder to scale. Typically comes with a higher price as well. Radio frequency, which is what we use, is a more kind of tried and true, older type of technology. It has a stronger battery life typically than a Bluetooth solution. It does not pass the same huge packets of data, but it is certainly more scalable. And then I'd say you have a Wi-Fi solution that's kind of in the middle, whether it be Wi-Fi or ultra wideband. It can be very flexible. Sometimes you already have the infrastructure set up, but that's sort of a double-edged sword. This type of solution would tie into an already existing infrastructure or to whatever type of internet is already in the area. which can breed a whole kind of different mess of complications. So all of these solutions, again, have good things, bad things. Really depends on what makes the most sense for your organization. But just moving forward, we're going to be focusing more on 900 megahertz, which is a radio frequency scale. And that's what we use at Triax for all of our products. So what we've seen in construction is a rapid need to adopt tech. And this is an industry only second to agriculture that's been a very slow adapter in the past. There's a variety of reasons for that. One, the technology just wasn't there, and also just the nature of the environment. When it comes to construction, we're working with complex, heavy materials, metals, concrete, as you all know, hardwood, and this can throw off Bluetooth reception. This can affect how difficult it is to use repeaters to expand Wi-Fi networks. So this is why Triax is focused on this radio frequency at a 900 megahertz level. And what that really allows us to do is come on to these complicated sites with all kinds of different material. And again, set up in a very kind of low scalable way and use a product that can cut through these heavy and dense materials and provide you with a solution that's durable and makes sense for the environment. I will just move to the next one here. And what we launched was our flagship product, which is called Spotter. And what you're looking at here is a map of that product. And really what it is a full site visibility and safety platform with worker management features. So what that means is we're able to look at any site and know on both the horizontal and vertical axis where your employees are at any time. We have a head count. We can take a look at areas of the site that are more dangerous, and we'll jump into how that really kind of touches your industry in just a minute here. But we can look at pieces of equipment that you're using on site to get an idea of what the usage is like. Are we bottlenecking? We can automate things like time and attendance. We can use this as your RFID card. But the main driver here is going to be site visibility and safety. We found that a few of our larger general contractors were able to see over an 80% increase or change in their safety and an improvement just by using this wearable. And so we see a lot of companies, general contractors, subcontractors alike, adopt this plan, and then it just becomes part of all of the jobs that they do moving forward. And that, again, is combined for safety reasons and also for productivity. One of the biggest reasons why jobs are redone or we rework parts of jobs, and it's one of the most costly, it's over a $300 million loss each year in this industry. And it's typically due to some type of poor communication, not knowing where people are, having people working on the wrong job, etc. So the communication aspect to this product can't really be overstated. And that's really the goal with not just our technology, but with this kind of ever-changing landscape, is to be able to start to identify problems before they're a problem. So that's why we do things like tagging pieces of equipment and trying to figure out other behaviors on site, detecting free falling, detecting unsafe behavior where there may not be a staircase or a ladder where there should be. And this is really what we were doing for quite a long time pre-COVID. So we've been deployed in the field for over 5 years. Next slide, please. Just to give you a little bit of an overview, I don't want to dwell on this product that we deployed too much, but it's a variety, again, of hardware and software. We use things like evacuation tags, points of interest, and they'll interact differently on the map that we create, which is a live dashboard that you can look at while you're on site, off site, and really always be able to manage your field workers really from any location, and receive push pin alerts to a phone, a tablet, a computer, whatever device your managers are working on. Next slide, please. One of the points that I just wanted to leave with you is this point of interest tag. And the reason I bring this up is, as you folks probably know, falls are the #1 reason for acute injury and death on construction sites. So something that we use with roofing companies and general contractors alike is this point of interest tag. And we use it to display, leading edge and improve the communication to the foreman and the management parties on site whenever we have somebody who's close to some type of dangerous edge, so that we can automatically have a protocol that we put into place when we have people in these dangerous areas. Also, having a real-time alert when somebody does fall 6 feet or greater is part of this solution, which can be really key to any response time if you do have a safety issue on site. So just wanted to share that one little piece of Spotter. It's a very robust, large product, but where we've been focused on lately, and next slide if you could please, has been driven in large by COVID. Unfortunately, everybody has been affected by COVID-19, and we've done some work with some large general contractors, and I know some of you folks are residential on different types of buildings, but looking at a large commercial build, in this case, we focused on a $336 million build, and what the company estimated that we were working with was that COVID shutdowns cost them roughly $770,000 per week for closure. Beyond that, this company in particular was seeing large amounts of COVID positives on site right as everything was kind of coming to fruition last spring, and they looked to us to provide a solution. So what we did was kind of painstakingly went through records of real time and location. But it was obvious to us at that point in time that we could really roll out a COVID fighting mechanism based on social distancing and contact tracing. So if we could move to the next, please. And that product that we launched is Proximity Trace. It's completely separate of our Spotter product, but what it does is looks at the who, the when, and the how long when it comes to contact tracing. So it took our exact same wearable tag, our exact same 900 megahertz network, and really just slimmed it down. We took out real time and location, and what we're doing now is measuring roughly 6 feet of distance between workers on site, and we're also doing contact tracing. When 2 tags come within 6 feet, we're able to do audible alerts and also visual alerts, which do have silence buttons and all kinds of different customizations to them depending on the type of job. But this is specifically launched as just a COVID fighting wearable technology. Next slide, please. What that solution, how that solution is worn is either on a hard hat or typically it's clipped to the upper body mass in some form. Doesn't use any kind of GPS, Wi-Fi, or anything like that. And because we are on that 900 megahertz solution, we have about a 3-month battery life in between charges on this product. Our Spotter solution goes beyond that and is about a 6-month battery. So again, the idea here is to have a scalable, low power solution that can really be deployed on any site, and it only needs to have a battery charge, 2 to 3 times per year in a typical model. Really something that you can kind of set and forget. And just go to the next slide here, please. And the purpose of this is not only to alert workers when they're at an unsafe social distance, but in the event that we do have a COVID positive on case, or on site rather, and in this case, we're looking at Gregory as our potential positive. And forgive me, this is an actual site, so last name is blacked out. We can actually look to the right down here and see how many minutes of close contact on any day or date range. So we could look at a week, for example, how many minutes of close contact they've had with Gregory. And we can toggle this between a full day and actually look at the individual close contact sessions. But obviously the point here is when we do have a COVID positive, we want to be able to keep a job site up and running, get the folks that have been exposed off, get them tested, get them through your normal protocol, and keep the job site up and running, essentially. That is really the nature, behind this product and what we offer with it. It's just a very small part of what's out there in the construction technology, IT world. And it's really, as I mentioned, just an ever-growing sector. So I just wanted to share with you folks what we do. If we go to the next slide here, I also would just like to mention, these are some of our partners at the bottom here that we currently work with for these solutions. But also importantly, we do work with insurance risk management companies. Travelers is one that I can publicly list here for you guys, but there's a good chance your insurer already has some type of agreement or policy with regards to Triax. And if you work with us, we may be able to help you out with free piloting or, help you in some type of way that will hopefully, help compensate technology or maybe even cover your cost. But we do have some things like that available that I could speak to you guys about on, individual case by case type of situations. Just want to make you all aware of that. Might be a way that we can really help you guys in more than just one way. Again, this is just one piece of tech. It may not make sense to a lot of you out there, but if you ever would like to use me as a reference, talk to me about our product or just technology that's out there in general, I'd be more than happy to speak to anybody, in this forum or offline, and just give you my recommendations and let you know what I've found from being in this industry. And that's really all I had to say. I really appreciate your time and, the platform here. Just really an industry that's close to home for me, that I worked in as a teenager, and really appreciate the hard work that you guys do and the risk that you take. And I understand how tough it can be to get that insurance and all of those kind of caveats that you have to the industry. So appreciate you all, and thank you so much for your time, Karen. Thank you as well.
Yeah. Tadd, that was fantastic. Thank you. I'd like to just open it up and see what your questions are.
Please.
Come on, isn't anybody going to say how much does it cost? Can you talk about that, Tadd?
Yeah. So to that note, we're extremely flexible. All of this is based off of the volume of tags that are either purchased off of us or leased from us. So there are all different kinds of solutions, solutions that range from, under $100 per worker, up to more than double that, depending on the type of sort of scale and what we're looking to get out of the system. But I will say this, we can certainly get you guys some type of lease program that can be 3 months or less if you have a job that's short term, on, again, a cheaper, below $100 per that whole job type of situation. We also have year and 2 year long-term deals that we can work out, purchases where you're able to actually purchase the tags, a hybrid model where we have a low upfront cost and a higher monthly reoccurring fee. So, our idea is we want to be flexible to any type of budget If you're spreading this along, multiple jobs, we'll figure out a way to account for it in that regard. If it's something that needs to be front loaded and put on somebody's OSIP or CSIP kind of situation, if we're looking at a large commercial job, we can price accordingly there too. So again, a little bit dependent on, the volume, but typically we see the solution, it can range between, we'll say $100 to $200 per worker to keep things kind of simple, but that is really based, on a term going anywhere from 3 months to 24 months. So depends a little bit about the particular situation, but typically we can find something that's cost effective in that regard.
Tadd, Wendy Marvin asked, she's curious if employee privacy has ever been an issue.
That is a great question, and I'm so happy that was brought up. So how that works with us, in terms of proximity trace, we'll go with that product, the COVID fighting product, because I think it's a little bit sort of easier to explain in our time frame here and everything. But yes, we get a lot of concerns about privacy and about data. So how we combat some of those things are, to start, we're SOC 2 rated, which means everything that I use from my phone to the computer that I'm on is fully encrypted. It has to meet a certain specification so that we're not at risk to being hacked and things like that. When it comes to the data, it's all stored off-site on a very high level, AWS, so Amazon Web Service cloud dashboard. And all of that information is actually owned by our customer. So we don't own any of your data. We can't do anything with it without permission. Even when we get permission, for example, like the dashboard that you're looking at, we go an extra step, black out last name, just to try and be overly cautious. We do get a fair amount of clients that are very sophisticated, and for whatever reason, they can't even use an employee first and last name because either it violates an internal policy or they're just unwilling to do it. So we do have ways that we can anonymize all of the data that you're looking at in front of you. Sometimes an HR person or somebody in upper management will hold, for example, a matrix that has an employee ID that corresponds to an employee name, and nobody using the software is aware of that. The only time that it's ever used is if we're running contact tracing like you're looking at in front of you now. That contact tracing report is sent to that person in HR, and then they send out an anonymous email basically letting folks know, you've been in touch with somebody who's COVID positive. So there's very sophisticated ways we can kind of circumvent, any privacy issue, but the data is all owned by the end user, which is typically very, very helpful in that model. And there's all kinds of retention policies. It self-deletes after 90 days. We really, have to go above and beyond there, and happy to send all that paperwork to anyone who has a interest in it.
Excellent. Thank you, Tadd. Wendy said that answers her question. Does anybody have any other questions? No?
Yeah,
okay, well, oh, perfect.
Karen, we have one question. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what I was wondering is, you said the data is owned by the end user. How is the data made available, or how is it exposed if we wanted to use it in coordination with another application or overlaying with other information?
Even better question. So we use an open API. So we do certainly have companies that integrate this. You can use single sign-in, for example, to access this dashboard if you already have a security overlay that requires something like single sign-in. Obviously, the software that you're utilizing on the other end has to have some type of open API as well if we want this data to flow directly to the screen that you're already looking at for some other piece of technology or software. But we're always open to it, and we're always willing to collaborate with whatever that other software company is that is trying to integrate us. So yeah, that's certainly something we try to make ourselves available for. Sometimes, we're unfortunately unable to get that solution to a customer because, the cost can be very high, to work with the other company that you might be using. But we're absolutely open to it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Got it.
Great questions. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you, Tadd. Should any of you have questions later, or I don't think we have a slide with your contact info, Tadd, but I have it. So just feel free to reach out to me either through email or hit me up on Slack, and then I can make that connection for you with Tadd. Also, thanks to Lori Swanson from Guardian Roofing for hooking us up with Tadd. Came out of our October meetup when we were talking about how soccer players have trackers in their vests to rate their performance. And we were like, we need to learn more about this. So Tadd, thank you. You're welcome to stick around and listen to our updates, or feel free to hop off. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. And pleasure's all on my side. And unfortunately, I have to run to the next meeting, but thank you all so much.
Bye, Tadd.
All right, take care.
All right, now we get into task teams. What's been going on? If you're a task team leader on this call, I made your slide for you, and there should be no surprises. You're probably going to hear a lot of me talking because I'm pretty sure Tom's not here and Ryan's not here, and Greg emailed me that he couldn't make it either. He had a conflicting meeting. So we'll dive right in. The first one up is just our organizational team. Cotney Attorneys and Consultants graciously is our legal counsel, and they donate that, and they help us when needs arise. We do have our antitrust statement and non-collusion policy that everyone needs to sign. So if you're a new member and I don't have you on the list, or if you're an existing member and you still haven't signed up, you will be hearing from us. Just with a reminder, it's super easy. You just go through, it's a Google form, all the information's there, you click and type your name and you're done. Really simple. The other thing I forgot to put on here is, and I want to tell you guys now so you can start thinking about it, we have 2 board seats, at least one. We have 2 terms that are ending in May. Heidi will be finished with her term, and oh, there's Heidi, hi. And Ryan, who filled in for Karen Inman when she left, that term is up. Now, I don't think Ryan's on, but he has not indicated whether he wants to continue, because you can do 2 terms. The terms are 3 years each. So we will have at least 1 seat open in May. So if